How do you find your mineral rights on a map? How do you research oil and gas activity in your area? Today, we're going to show you exactly how to do both. So stay tuned and learn something. Howdy folks, my name is Steven Hatcher and welcome to the Minerals Guy channel. On this channel, we share tips on minerals management, mineral valuation, and how to achieve maximum value for your mineral rights. I acquire and manage mineral assets for a living. I'm also an oil and gas attorney with over a decade of experience buying, selling, and developing oil and gas properties all across the country. I created Minerals Guy for mineral owners just like you to better help you understand the asset class. If you're getting value from our content, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons so that you get notified whenever we post new videos. In this series, we're covering mineral rights management and we're teaching you how to manage your mineral rights like the pros. This is part 6, the last episode in this series, and we are going to help you find your minerals on a map and do research on oil and gas activity in your area. So let's dive in. Part 1, knowing what you own. The most critical piece of minerals management is understanding what you own. Where is your property located? How many mineral acres do you own? And what activity is going on in your area? If you don't know these things, you're flying blind and you open yourself up to being on the bad end of a deal. Whether you're considering a lease proposal from an operator or you're negotiating with a mineral buyer to sell your mineral rights. Finding your minerals on a map and researching activity is a great step to take to understand more about what it is that you own. Part 2, using Louisiana as the example. Today, we're going to use the free GIS mapping system provided by the state of Louisiana called Sunrise. In the example that we're going to run through is a tract located in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, in the heart of the Haynesville Shale. Now, if you live in a different state, fret not. Most, if not all, oil and gas producing states are going to have a similar free GIS system that you can use. And if you want me to do a similar example for the state where you live, leave me a comment down below. Part 3, your property description. Now, before you can find your minerals on a map, you need to know your property description. What is a property description? A property description is the legal description of your property that tells the world where your property is located. And if you've ever bought a home or a tract of land, then you've seen a property description before. But it is important to note that the property or legal description for your property is not the same as your municipal address. So here are some examples of common legal descriptions. The first is a Jeffersonian or PLSS Public Land Survey System property description. The Jeffersonian system is broken down into sections, townships, and ranges and goes something like this. The northeast quarter of Section 1, Township 14 North, Range 16 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Now, if you own a smaller tract of land, you may have what's called a subdivision description. For example, Lot 42 of Block 3 in the North Lakes subdivision. Now, the third and most complex type of legal description is a meets and bounds description. And here's an example down below. Typically, meets and bounds descriptions are going to describe some sort of marker, and then they're going to run 150 feet in one direction and then 2,000 feet in the next. Now, meets and bounds descriptions can be complex. They could reference markers, but what you're going to want to look for is there a reference to a section, township, and range located in that meets and bounds description? So where do you find your property description? Well, the best place to find your property description is going to be in your source deed, which we covered in a prior episode of this series. If you don't know what a source deed is, go back and watch that video. So for our example today, we're going to use a 120 acre tract in Caddo Parish, Louisiana. We'll call the owner Farmer John or FJ. Now, FJ's property has the following legal description. The northwest quarter of Section 1 and the north half of the northeast quarter of Section 2 containing 120 acres, more or less, both in Township 14 North, Range 16 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Now, in order to find that tract on a map, we're gonna jump over to a screen share, so let's do it right now. All right, folks, welcome to my screen share. Let's find your minerals on a map. So the first thing that you wanna do is open your web browser and go to www.sunrise.com. That's SONIS.com. And once the page loads, you're gonna wanna click right here where it says GIS access. So we'll wait for the map to load. you can X out of this little box right here, and then you'll see the state of Louisiana with all the parishes shown. Now, the way that this map works is basically you can click and draw a box and it will zoom in on that specific area. Now, we're looking for Southern Caddo Parish, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a little box right over here, and it's going to take me to that area. Now, if you need to pan the map, what you're going to want to do is click this little hand right here, and you can pan the map up and down. Okay, so if you look over here in the top right hand corner, you can see this table of contents, and the table of contents is very helpful. There's a ton of different layers that you can add. So I'm going to show you the ordering of the layers that I normally do. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to turn on the townships, right? So Louisiana is a Jeffersonian state that uses the section township range system, right? So every single township is the equivalent of 36 square miles. Inside of every township are 36 sections, and each section is 1 square mile, right? So to say that again, one section is 1 square mile, one township is 36 square miles. Now, I'm going to turn the sections off again until we get zoomed in a little bit more and figure out exactly where we are. Now, we are in township 14 North, range 16 West. So I'm going to go back and use my little zoom tool. You click right there so you can zoom in. And I know generally that we're right in here. And I may actually back this out a little bit. But you click the sections up here in the table of contents, click this little red A, it'll turn it green, and then you'll be able to see the section numbers. Okay, so FJ's tract, it's a 120 acre tract across 2 sections, sections 1 and section 2. Now he's got 40 acres in section 1, which is described as the northwest of section 1, right? So that 40 acre tract is going to be right here, okay? Now his other tract is an 80 acre tract, and it's described as the north half of the northeast quarter of section 2. Now that other tract is going to be right here. So 80 acres plus 40 acres equals 120. So this is generally where we're located. Okay, so now that we've got the sections and the townships, we can see generally where we are. One thing that I find very helpful is if you go to table of contents and go to reference layers, right, you can add primary roads, and you're also going to want to add local roads right here. Okay, and that'll just give you a general idea. So this is Four Forks Road, Preston Road over here. This is Keachai Marshall Road right here. Okay, so we've got roads on here. So the next layer that we want to add are production units, right? So if we go up here to oil and gas, you'll see all the different oil and gas layers that we can add. But what I want you to do is go down here on where it says Haynesville Shale oil and gas units. You're going to click on that. And this is going to show you every single commissioner's unit for the Haynesville Shale. And if you click this little red A, it will show you the unit names, right? So section 1 we can see is HARASUD, and section 2 is HARASUE. Now the HARA stands for Haynesville Zone Reservoir A, right? And the SUD stands for Sand Unit D. These are just abbreviations for these longer unit names. Okay, so our map is really starting to take shape now, right? So we can see exactly where our property is located. We can see the roads. We can see which Haynesville units our property is in. Now let's have some fun and start adding some oil and gas wells. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is come up here, table of contents. You're going to click this little box for oil and gas wells, and then you are not going to want to click that little green A. If you click the green A, you'll be able to see serial numbers. What I find is that it gets a little busy if you add the serial numbers. So I'm just going to click the A again and pull it back off. But the other component that you absolutely need to add, because there's so many horizontal wells in Haynesville, is you're going to want to add these oil and gas well bottom holes and bores. And watch this. Wow. Okay, so now that we have all of our oil and gas wells, bottom holes and bores on here, we can really start to see a picture of what's going on in our area, right? And so in section 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Haynesville wells that have been drilled into this section. And then in section 2, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. But the real power of this is if you go back up here to oil and gas wells and you click this little magnifying glass and you come over to these little purple boxes, right? The purple boxes represent surface hole locations. So this is where the pads are, right? Now, in these little red dots, right, these are the bottom hole locations, right? So what you want to do is click on this little magnifying glass and then you select these little purple boxes and you'll see this box at the bottom pop up and it's going to give you the names of the wells. So this is the HARASUD Gerard 1 and 12, 14, 16H. There's 3 of these, the 1 alt, the 2 alt, and the 3 alt. You can see when these wells were permitted. You can see whether they're active and producing. You can see the field name, et cetera, et cetera. And if you come over here to well details and click this button, it's going to open a new window. And this is basically a scorecard for the entire well. With all the production history, you can see that this well was completed on March 27th, which is actually my birthday, of 2020. And it IP'd at over 33 million per day, which is pretty strong for a Haynesville well. So 33,096 MCF per day on a 32/64 choke. You can click through, you can see who the operator is, you can see the field name. Here's the API number for the well, which is basically like a fingerprint. Every single oil and gas well in the country has an API number. And you can come down here and you can see production that has been reported from this well. So if we jump back over to the map, this really gives you a pretty awesome picture of activity where you are, right? If you follow this and you're constantly keeping track of your land, of your sections, right? You'll be able to see when new permits get filed. You'll be able to understand like when activity is coming to you. So I hope you guys found this really helpful. We're gonna jump back over to the video. So now that we've found your minerals on a map, that's going to conclude our minerals management series. We appreciate all of you joining us, and we hope that you got a ton of value out of it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. You can reach us on our website, mineralsguide.com. You can also reach me by email, steven@mineralsguide.com, with any questions. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.